How many people do you know that use vapes? How many of these people claim that it's healthier than cigarettes? To answer this question, let's first dive into the history of cigarettes and their usage. Cigarettes are cylindrically shaped and consist of tobacco, a filter, paper wrapping, and many chemical additives. They are lit at one end, causing it to smolder and allow tobacco smoke and chemicals to be orally inhaled. To this day, cigarettes are the most commonly used tobacco product in the United States. Back in the mid-1960s, 42% of U.S. adults were smokers. Last year, the share of adult smokers fell to about 11%, down from 12.5%. While the use of cigarettes started to decrease in the early 2000s, the invention of the e-cigarette caused a new surge of nicotine usage in the United States. So what exactly is an e-cigarette? According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, a vape or e-cigarette is a device that is used to inhale and exhale produced flavorings, chemicals, and typically nicotine. These devices are battery-operated and contain an atomizer or heating element that vaporizes the liquid in the cartridge to stimulate tobacco smoking. Going back to this graph, we can see that while it appeared that cigarette usage was decreasing, in young adults, e-cigarette usage was simultaneously increasing. According to the CDC, e-cigarette use rose to nearly 6% last year from about 4.5%. Only about 2% of high school students were smoking traditional cigarettes last year, but about 14% puffed on e-cigarettes, according to other CDC data. Generally speaking, e-cigarette usage is favored amongst young adults. But why is that?
It turns out that a big reason for this will be due to the marketing efforts by vape companies that focus on the various innovative flavors and packaging. An online survey in New Zealand investigated the main reasons for vaping and found that adolescents who vaped non-traditional flavors compared to traditional flavors, such as menthol, were more likely to continue vaping and increase the number of puffs taken. In addition, lab experiments of young adults showed that exposure to non-traditional sweet vape flavors generated greater appeal and willingness to use the product. This suggests that vape companies are taking advantage of young adults and their naivety to push their products onto an easily impressionable audience. Besides the wide variety of flavors available, the packaging of a vape also plays a huge factor in encouraging sales and use. A 2023 study addressed the association between standardized packaging and interest in trying e-cigarette products. The study showed that youth had higher odds of reporting no interest in trying e-cigarettes that were presented in less visually appealing standard packaging than more appealing branded packaging. In addition to this, a 2019 study showed that the use of cartoon-based marketing has been associated with susceptibility to vape in the appearance of a perceived social benefit of vaping, thus showing that more appealing packaging and marketing of vape products are related to a greater risk of use in adolescence. In addition to packaging, social media is a prominent space for vape marketing. According to a peer-reviewed study, e-cigarettes are promoted on social media as a safer alternative to traditional cigarettes, effective for quitting smoking, and suitable for use in smoke-free areas. E-cigarettes are also often marketed as playing a helpful role for people who don't want to quit, offering a substitute for some of the cigarettes they would otherwise smoke. Thus, the appearance of minimal health concerns makes e-cigarette products more appealing to consumers, specifically adolescents and young adults. However, this introduces the risk of dual use, which can be especially harmful as dual users would be exposed to two sets of substances, having the worst of both worlds. Recent cohort studies showed that dual use among daily vapers apparently remained above 80% after 12 months of follow-up. So, although vape companies seem to suggest that vapes can be used as an alternative to smoking cigarettes, are they really any healthier?
Vapes and traditional cigarettes both have life-threatening health effects and contain some of the same chemical additives, the main ones being nicotine, tobacco, and methanol. Ingredients such as tobacco, nicotine, and methanol have profound health effects. According to the CDC, over 16 million Americans suffer from smoking-related diseases. Smoking is linked to a multitude of health risks, including cancer, heart disease, lung disease, diabetes, stroke, and etc. The presence of these chemical additives in cigarettes can weaken the immune system, making it more challenging to combat cancer cells. Lung cancer is strongly correlated with smoking. Smoking also contributes to heart disease and stroke by causing the narrowing and thickening of blood vessels, promoting clot formation and impeding blood flow from the heart to the brain. This leads to the accumulation of plaque, including substances like fat, calcium, and cholesterol within the blood vessels. Vapes or e-cigarettes represent a relatively new alternative to tobacco smoking that use propylene glycol and vegetable glycerin, or PGVG, based to deliver nicotine and flavors collectively called an e-liquid to the lung via an electronic delivery device that vaporizes the e-liquid into an aerosol. However, the consequences of this ingredient is relatively unknown. In addition, Juul, a popular vaping device, uses liquid that contains nicotine in the form of nicotine salt, which leads users to perceive the aerosols from these liquids as less irritating than traditional cigarettes, and allows for the delivery of higher amounts of nicotine than in other electronic cigarette liquids. This can be misleading to users who might feel that vapes are less irritating when in reality, they are just as damaging as regular cigarettes. Despite the misconception that vapes are considered safer than cigarettes, the health risks say otherwise. As lung injury has been associated with vaping and has been reported by many states, which brought concern to the CDC and the Food and Drug Administration. As of September 24, 2019, the CDC received reports from 46 state health departments and 1 territorial health department regarding 805 patients who had experienced lung injuries associated with the use of e-cigarettes or vaping products. The graph demonstrates the amount of lung injury associated with e-cigarette use or vaping cases within the U.S., including 2 territories in 2019. The most cases occurred in California, Texas, Illinois, and Wisconsin. An example of the negative health effects of vapes can be seen in what happened to Utah teen Maddie Nelson. Maddie said that for a total of 3 years, she used a variety of e-cigarettes daily. In July of 2019, Maddie was admitted to a hospital because she had been experiencing severe back and kidney pain. Soon, her symptoms worsened, and several x-rays and examinations confirmed that she had developed acute eosinophilic pneumonia, which is a rare lung illness. Maddie was put in a medically induced coma and was luckily able to survive.
With that information, let's go back and answer our original question: are vapes actually better than cigarettes? From what available research tells us, vaping and smoking traditional cigarettes have the same level of health concern. However, research within the field is increasing, and with more time, the long-term health effects of vaping will be revealed as the concept of vaping is still relatively new. But it can be conclusively said that there exist several differences between vapes and cigarettes that put vape users at risk of the same or even greater health risks as normal cigarette users. If you or anyone you know are interested in learning more about vapes or cigarettes or want to quit, there are many resources available, including the National Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration at samhsa.gov and their helpline at 1-800-662-4357, or visit teen.smokefree.gov for resources regarding smoking and vaping, or text QUIT to 47848 for support while quitting.